This is Amateur Faith Night, a podcast where real-life friends talk about real-life religion, where questions are encouraged, doubt is talked about, and following Jesus is our main priority. Let this be a starting place for you to research things and study them out for yourself. God is bigger than all of our questions, and it is okay to not have all of the answers. Are you ready?
Good posture, everyone.
Everyone. Wait, you wanted to sing a song.
Do I?
You said you did.
No. I'm joking.
Come on, Gary.
I don't remember it.
Okay, fine. If I remember correctly, it had something to do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and MC Hammer.
MC Hammer. This is what we do from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack in 1992.
You even know the year?
Yeah.
Was that The Secret of the Ooze?
No, that was the sequel.
Oh, okay.
This was the OG, the original.
Okay,
so
I do actually think I've seen that movie though, for real.
Should have. It's a great movie.
Well, we weren't allowed to watch TV or movies, so I didn't see very many. But I think I do remember watching that because it was right around the time that we started going to the UPC church, and my mom and my stepdad got married. And it was before my stepdad and the pastor made my mom get rid of the TV that we had, and my little brother liked the Ninja Turtles, so we got to watch that, and then we played Ninja Turtles for like the next
Which turtle were you? I was Michelangelo.
I wasn't a turtle. I was April.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we had like a cardboard sewer lid that we used, and we would like pretend that we were going down the sewer, but we'd like crawl under the bed.
It's quite an imagination.
Yeah, well, I was like 8, so.
So we've changed the topics and the way we're going to do the show from now on. We're going to be movie critics. So please give us some suggestions on movies to watch.
Yep.
And watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because that's the whole episode we're going to talk about. So in the opening scene.
Right, yeah. No, we're not. You want to say what we're talking about?
Yes, tonight we will be discussing why we do what we do.
Yes.
What?
And I'm sure everybody has heard the announcement. If you haven't, the Amateur Faith Night, us, and Berean Holiness have combined forces, and we're having a conference with the hosts of Cultish, Jeremiah and Andrew, both. So We are.
True.
So if you have not got tickets yet, or there is a link floating around somewhere for this. It is on Amateur Faith Night Facebook page, and also my author's page, Jennifer Brewer.
For those that watch this on YouTube, maybe Jennifer will put it, down below.
Right. Yeah, I should do that.
And if you guys do, if you miss out on that, I've bought 50 extra. I'm going to scalp them at the service when we're down there. So.
Yeah. So anyway, no, we are very excited about it though, because, when you leave an organization like the UPC, or as in Natalie from Berean's case, the Conservative Holiness Movement, which is very similar, you lose your community, you lose everybody. So this is a good opportunity for everybody to meet and to mingle and to, in a very relaxed kind of situation, and still walk away hopefully with some kind of takeaway from it, something encouraging. So that's our plan. So hopefully everybody can make it, because it'd be really cool to meet everybody. But Jeremy and I were talking about, with that being announced and everything that's coming up for us, a lot of big things. I know that we've done a couple of episodes of like about us, but we really haven't, other than like some blog posts that I've done, we really haven't said like why we are doing what we are doing. I think a lot of it gets misconstrued as, at least in like Jeremy and I's case, hate, or because we're lashing out against the organization, we don't like them, we're trying to tear them down or whatever. But that's not really why we're doing this at all. And I have no hate, and I don't want to tear anybody down. It's not a personal attack, like I've been accused of and other things. It's definitely not that, because we have a heartbeat, and I love so many people that are still in that organization, and there are so many good people in that organization. They just are sincerely wrong in their beliefs, and because they believe so strongly and because they want to do right, they're still stuck there. So I think that that is my main drive, is just to maybe put some resources out there. Obviously, we're not like super put together and professional with anything that we do. I just don't have it in me to have that kind of level of perfectionism like other people, which it is what it is. I work, have kids, and a life too. So it's just, but I do want to have some kind of resource out there to maybe help people along the way at some point. Like whether you're thinking about leaving, if you've already left, if you are just kind of questioning things, I do want to have something easily accessible. Yeah. Accessible. Anyway, yeah. There goes the professionalism thing. So people can find it, and just to have like regular conversation, like the three of us would hang out and have the same conversations, and literally this is exactly what we would talk about. So, and I think it's pretty fun. I think we should share it. I think we're hilarious.
Sure.
Not necessarily me, but these guys. So you have your whole entire phone propped up on your water cup.
Yes.
Were you going somewhere with that, or?
Well, I will when you're done.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm done.
Okay.
Okay.
I think he just called you long-winded.
First off, for all the guys out there, right now is February 15th. So it is time to go buy your Valentine's Day candy. Not to make up for yesterday. No, we don't do it that way. You buy it today because it's like 75% off, and you hold it back to next year. And if you buy the good stuff, it's not all the chocolate. It won't fade out and look all white and funky. So buy the better stuff because it's already 75% off. Hold it back, and your sweetie will think you did really good next year.
That is a lie.
What's a lie?
They won't think you did good because they're going to know.
No, they won't. You never know.
Or there's also another thing you could do.
What's that?
You could rant and rave about what a ridiculous holiday it is and just begrudgingly give your wife flowers and stuff in a card and say, here's your mandatory flowers and card that any husband who actually loved their wife would do this a couple times throughout the year and not just wait till freaking February 14th to do it. Which is nuts.
I can completely hear that conversation going on at your house. I do hate Valentine's Day though, because
weird.
It's like it's a forced thing.
It's so forced.
It's forced.
Like
yeah. No, I would rather get chocolate, and Jereme is really good about that. Like he'll bring me chocolate randomly because he knows that's how I survive life in general. So anytime he goes to the gas station,
it's chocolate he's going to buy tomorrow, and he's just going to randomly give it to you throughout the year.
No, I'm buying today because this is airing on the 15th.
Oh,
true.
Okay.
Because we don't record these ahead of time.
Way ahead of time. Yeah, no, never. It's too much math.
We're all simple.
Yeah.
Neanderthals. We're still trying to figure out, why we got 10 digits. All right. So to go on topic with what Jennifer had to say, why we do what we do, these scriptures have been on my mind for quite a long time to kind of maybe explain a little bit how I feel. Romans chapter 9, we've got the context is Paul, and he's referring to the Jewish nation. And he says, I'm telling the truth in Christ. I'm not lying, for my conscience assures me in the Holy Spirit. I have great sorrow and unceasing anguish in my heart. For I could wish that I myself were accursed, cut off from Christ for the sake of my people, my fellow countrymen, who are Israelites. To them belong the adoption as sons, the glory, covenants, the giving of the law, the temple worship, the promises. To them belong the patriarchs, and from them by human descent came the Christ, who is God over all, blessed and forever. Amen. Not that I feel that the UPC has all the covenants, all the promises. I don't believe that at all. However, just like Paul was basically raised up as a very strict Judaizer. And I myself I grew up in a very strict UPC home. My father was a deacon for many, many years, and he eventually took a church and pastored as well. And because of that, yes, I've got a lot of friends, family still in the organization, and I do feel for them because I understand that the bondage that they were in. I get the despair that can come with the legalism, which will be the next episode, that binds these people. And I do, my heart breaks from them from time to time. There's some days it doesn't bother me so much, and there's a lot of days that it does, because I was in those same bonds and I was under that same pressure of having to own up to basically the heritage that I was told that I had. What do you think?
Yeah, the heritage that I was trying to find the verse and I don't remember off the top of my head where it is, but Paul talks about speaking. There's a verse that says speaking the truth in love, but that's not where I was going with this. It was like basically debunking things in a good way. Do you know which verse I'm talking about? I'm butchering it right now. But anyway, you were saying that and it reminded me of that verse, and talking about your heritage, that's a huge thing. And, you know, you always hear the UPC people, and I'm sure other organizations, but I speak to what I know, talk about, oh, I'm 5th generation or I'm 4th generation or whatever. That's like a good...
That's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're somebody if you're multi-generations in. Whereas a family like mine, I was my mom. So, like, I guess I was 2nd generation. I guess technically my grandma was UPC too.
On your dad's
On
side.
my dad's side, yeah. So it's kind of like a 2.5 generation kind of thing. I don't know. We didn't really talk to my grandma very much on my dad's side. Anyway, but
was that because she was UPC?
Honestly, yeah. A lot. That had a lot to do with it. She was one of those people, God love her, that she was UPC. My mom was not at the time that my mom and my father were married. And she would tell my mom she was going to hell because she was wearing pants. And my mom didn't appreciate the judgment. So my mom would always be like, I will never be a part of that church. And then she met my stepdad and he got her in. So anyway, it was completely unrelated how she got in, ironically. But yeah, she wasn't really a big fan of my grandma's for that reason. But when you leave, you kind of feel like, you know, you're like kind of messing it up, because like our kids could have been 3rd generation. But your grandma was UPC, so I guess on your side they would have been 4th generation.
Right.
Yeah.
Quad.
Right. So you kind of feel like when you walk away, you're like losing that.
Yeah.
In a way.
You're tearing down the wall.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, no, I think that's really good what you had to say.
It was heartfelt.
Yeah. We just dragged Gary along because Gary's interesting. I mean, his facial expressions, his conversations. I feel like you keep us grounded.
Well, I mean, the whole thing has been fascinating to this point. Obviously, learning about not just your guys' history, but the history of that church. I don't have a whole lot other to say about it other than, like I've said before, it's just like you mentioned, you used to have people that you care about and they're in it, and you know, family members or friends, and it's just, I just keep using the word, it's sad because of their level of, you know, they're devoted on like false pretenses, you know what I mean? It's not any fault of their own, it's what they've been taught, and what, you know, but I just feel sad because the truth kind of being hidden from them, and they're getting the snippets of the truth. You know, you would think.
To me, that's what's dangerous.
Yeah,
is when you got truth wrapped in lies.
And then, like when we've talked about several times, it's like, well, in the early days, were the founders really that conniving to control them? Were they just uneducated and didn't have the resources to learn more on their own? Or, you know, as it evolved, did it turn into like a controlling thing? Or do even some of the pastors of these churches these days consider themselves controlling? Or are they just doing what they learned? Like, there's so many facets to it where, you know, we've looked at the kind of the traditions that you guys have talked about and kind of dispelled how they formed, and people still doing it. But was it done intentionally to control, or was it just, you know, it's fascinating. The whole thing is just how it kind of took on its own life.
Yeah, and I think that's a loaded question too. Like,
Because not
What's
everyone
their-
involved in the formation would have been there for controlling.
Right.
Some, I think, really felt they were being led to
Right.
do what was going on. But I definitely think over time, those that felt like a true call to ministry or whatever the situation may have been, they were obviously pushed out by those that did want control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as far as like ministers or pastors go, I've been around enough ministers and pastors to know that I think some of them are sincere.
Right.
I think some of them really do what they do because they honestly feel like they've been called to do that. They feel like God has placed it on their heart, and they do feel like they're right. And I don't think they're trying to intentionally mislead anybody for control. But I do think there are a big portion who just want power.
Yeah.
And
you can see it across all the denominations too. I mean,
Right.
Exactly.
You see some of these, wealth evangelicals and, just some of the stuff going on. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, you're just totally taking advantage of, I don't know what the right word would be. You're taking advantage of people, giving them hope, and totally just manipulating them.
And in all fairness, it boils down to narcissism, and it doesn't just happen in churches. It happens in corporations. It happens in politics.
Oh, yeah.
It happens anywhere that humans get involved. So in all fairness, it's not just churches. However, when it happens in churches, it's very, very hurtful when it comes out.
You're dealing with an eternity. You're literally gambling with people's eternity, like salvation and
Right.
eternal existence.
their salvation, their trust,
Yeah.
like their livelihood even, I think the worst part of like the stories that I've heard from people leaving this organization, and you might think we're picking on the UPC, but Jeremy and I were speaking from what we know. Like, we can't talk about any other organization because we weren't a part of that.
Right.
So, I mean, that would be super unfair for us to do that. So I don't really feel like we're just calling out the UPC for no reason. But one of the saddest things that I've heard are families that are breaking apart because of the beliefs of this organization, or a pastor who is power hungry and just wants control over their family. And so either the husband leaves or the wife leaves, and the pastor is telling them that they shouldn't be equally yoked, or they're out of submission of their husband, so they need to, or their husband's out of submission of God, so they have to listen to the pastor. Like, it's insanity. And like, just families are torn apart because you can't serve, your marriage is not going to be healthy in that kind of environment. It's not. And that is what's heart-wrenching to me. It's just sad.
No, it definitely is, because not only does it hurt individuals on an individual level, but then, like you and I, we came together, we ended up getting married, and I'm sure it affected our marriage for a very long time. And then we had children together, and it affected them. I'm very, very thankful the grace of God came through and pulled us out before our children were so old enough that they were dug in by the heels and would have stayed. Because we've heard testimonies and we've heard people talk to us about exactly that. They leave as an adult, but their kids are also adult age at that point. And their kids, they dig in their heels and they're like, "No, Dad, no, Mom, you're wrong. You're apostate. No, we're staying. We can't have anything to do with you." And that does happen.
And then boom, you're estranged for years. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's sad. So that's a huge reason why too.
When you were talking earlier, and hopefully we've said this enough on these podcasts, like, if it comes off judgy or making funny, or obviously we're pretty sarcastic. That's our kind of level of communication, just as friends. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
I mean,
right. This is not exclusive to the podcast.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
This is not special.
Yeah.
we're abusive to each other.
Yeah. So
not true.
I can understand, we get some comments and things,
We're too much for some people.
Yeah.
It is
So-
what it is.
we just can't state it enough that it's not coming from that level, like, hey, let's pick on the UPC right now. Because I think it should be known that Jen and Jeremy started this thing out of love, not wanting to pick on people. It's, wanting to get information out there to help. And it just so happens that our personalities may come across sometimes where it seems like but it's that's just us being goofy with each other. It's not meaning anything other than trying to help. Mm-hmm. And then every now and then it gets a little smart alecky.
Yeah. And I think, like, for me personally, making it kind of lighthearted kind of takes the hurt out of it. And
there has been times too, understandably, when you guys have been talking, there's a little anger behind it, but it's rightfully there. That's a rightful kind of, you earn the right to be angry about some stuff, but I think you guys are working through it pretty good.
I mean, and that's one thing too, I think all of us want to project is being real. Mm-hmm. Because I don't ever want to come across as somebody who has my life together, because I don't know everything. I am still searching for answers.
Wait,
I don't think I will ever.
I was led here because you said you knew everything.
Right.
I thought I was going to learn something.
Yeah. No, actually, that's not even true a little bit. So I am a mess. Jeremy's a mess too. Just throwing that out there. If I'm going under, he's going under with me. But
I'm going.
Going down with the ship.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, like you said, we are sarcastic. We laugh, and it's because these topics are heavy, and it's a very heavy burden to bear. Yeah. And a lot of times bringing all of this up reminds me of when I was there. It reminds me of the feelings that I had when I literally would cry in the shower because I was so depressed and just oppressed, and I didn't know what to do because I thought I was stuck. And reliving that sometimes it does ping and gives you reminders, but and I cope with sarcasm. I do. We said that in our trailer video. Yeah. But I guess I don't want that to cloud the fact that this comes from love. This comes from...
Yeah, the purpose behind it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is real life. People have real life questions. People have real life issues. We're not all put together. We have absolutely no idea what we're doing most of the time. And if you feel like that, you're not alone. Like this is... just, it's common. And I honestly didn't even realize that more people felt like how I was feeling at the time. Like, I had no idea. I thought there was something wrong with me. And it turns out there really wasn't anything wrong with me. It was the situation I was in.
Right.
And so I guess I want, like with my blog too, I started years ago. I've always written about like emotional things, not so much debunking things from a scriptural perspective, but how I felt while I was going through that situation. I've always been very open and just laid it all out because I know that I was not alone in that journey. I am not alone in this journey. I know there's other people. And, since then, we left in 2016, so that's been almost 7 years ago now.
Holy cow.
I know, right? This is a funny story breaking into that. There's this lovely lady at church so we've been going to our church for, it'll be 7 years this summer, so 6.5 years, okay? So I've known this woman who's elderly for at least 6 years, because I met her when I started singing in choir, and I started singing in choir right after we joined the church. She thinks my name's Sarah, and I don't have the heart to correct her.
Do you want me to call you Jen in front of her just to see what she does?
No, it was funny because Kelly and I were taking communion last night, and so Kelly's standing behind me, and this woman is handing out the communion crackers. And she goes, "Oh, hi, Sarah," and hands it to me, and Kelly goes...
Yeah, I'm sure she handled that right.
She stopped and she put her hand on my shoulder. I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. So I was like, I don't have the heart to correct her because she's so sweet. And it's been 6.5 years. I can't tell her my name's not Sarah. But yeah, anyway, I don't even remember where I was going with that, but something that was said reminded me of that conversation. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, we've been going there for a hot minute, and we still don't know very many people, obviously.
Well, yeah, because you guys sprint out after service. If I ever want to say hi to you, you got to corner you.
Yeah. Oh, we do. And again, that's part of being real and part of being human and part of my insecurities and Jeremy's impatientness.
Impatientness?
I have plenty of patience.
Patientness.
I have plenty of patience. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm here because one day they asked me, hey, do you want to do this podcast, be an outside voice?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll show up for one or two. You guys here I am.
One or two. No, we made sure that this was like a lifetime commitment,
Yeah,
Gary. We
yeah.
made that abundantly clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, until you retire and move to Montana or something.
Right.
That's happening soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're stuck here for a while.
And on another note, there have been plenty of times over the last year of doing the podcast, Jennifer writing her book, her blog, people messaging us even before really starting this whole process of the podcast and all that, messaging us, asking for advice, things of that nature. And it's when we see people that are hurting and we hear their testimony and we're able to help them and we see that it's helping them, that's actually what really keeps us going. Because there's been plenty of times Jennifer and I are like, why do we do this? Because there are times it weighs us down and it brings us down. And it always seems it's about that time that we'll get a message. And I'm like, yeah, that's why we do what we do. Because it does make a difference. We're not, like she said, heroes or super people or theologians. We falter each and every day. We have mistakes that we make, and we just want to be real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's been plenty of times that we've been around people that weren't real.
Well, that's also valid. That is also valid. I can't stand imposters and hypocrites. Like, that is I can't stand it. I am honest to a fault. I actually had an interview yesterday, and I said that because they asked me, something stupid like strengths and weaknesses kind of thing.
What's your biggest weakness?
Right. And I am honest to a fault. Like, I will tell on myself 100% of the time. But I think that being part of my personality, I think me being open and honest and just word vomiting in some ways in my blog or in my book or
in a life group. But I think sometimes people are scared to show those kind of emotions. Just so the viewers know, how many people have we ran out of our life group?
Oh my gosh, we've ran so many people. Well, Gary and Kelly aren't even doing it anymore.
We can't.
I think that we've scared everyone away.
It's not like we're mean. It's just we have really real conversations.
Right.
I don't know if people are comfortable with that.
Right. Yeah. And there's no pretenses. There's no, and that's the thing. I don't ever want to be, I don't ever want to be fake. Like, what you see is what you get with me. Obviously, like, I'm more put together when I'm on an interview than I am like just talking to someone. Clearly, those kind of things happen. But I never want to be one to hide what I'm actually feeling to a fault sometimes. And my face says it all the time. So even if I wanted to hide it, I really can't. But
so what you're saying, you don't show up to the life group, and when someone's like, Jen, will you pray? And you're like, Heavenly Father, we know that Thou did this, and we asked of Thee.
That's not going to happen.
You're not pulling out the King James English.
No. Usually I'm like, hey,
Show
Kelly, you want to pray?
Yeah.
Because Kelly is a good prayer.
She's a good prayer.
Yeah, I get intimidated, and I get intimidated at stuff like that because.
You're nervous about what you're going to say?
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. I mean, good God, I've done enough like podcasts and live interviews. Yeah. Like, I've probably said some really stupid stuff. But it's when we were UPC, I was always very intimidated about prayer to begin with because I was never one to like speak in tongues, and I definitely wasn't one to speak in tongues loudly. And there, in those kind of situations, when you're in a life group or a prayer group, everyone's laying hands on people, speaking in tongues, super loud and yelling and hooping and hollering. And I never could do that because that's just not in me to do. And so, like, when we started going to our current church and we had prayer on Wednesday nights, at first I was anticipating that and I was horrified. I was like, oh my gosh. But no one was like laying hands and hooping and hollering. Nobody was speaking in tongues super loud. But everyone knows what to say. And I think I missed out on actual prayer.
Actual talking to God and saying something for real.
Right. And being open and honest with God, because I was too worried about making sure I spoke in tongues, even though.
Were you trying to be too legal?
Too legal? Yeah.
Like when you were praying, like trying to check boxes or
just trying to make sure that I was jiving with everyone else, because I didn't want anybody to think I wasn't spiritual, and 2, I thought I wasn't spiritual. Like I thought I wasn't spiritual, and so I felt intimidated because I'm like, well, I'm not the kind of person that can pray like this, so obviously there's something wrong with me.
Right.
Which that was part of the huge, that huge blow to your self-esteem when you think there's something wrong with you, like chronically all the time.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it. Prayer, there's moments where I'll pray like out loud, and it's like, just in general feel you need to pray for this person. And I'm a big proponent of saying, if you're going to pray for somebody, praying for them in that moment.
Right.
Yeah, do it then.
Yeah,
I don't
for
like
sure.
saying, I'll say a prayer for you. And I've put myself in some uncomfortable situations because God's like, you need to pray for that person. It's like, ugh. I prayed for one guy at my old work in the bathroom, and people were walking in and out. But it was one of those.
Did you lay hands on him?
I had my hand on his shoulder.
Oh,
yeah. I'm sure it looked weird, but it was one of those moments. I mean, the guy had cancer, and he was upset, and
he probably never forgot that.
And God gets on your heart. So it was just, there's moments like that, and that prayer comes easy. Where what you're talking about, Kelly, like my wife is good at, if somebody says, hey Kelly, why don't you pray? And like she can just snap.
Instant. Yeah,
she can snap into
she has
it,
the right words. She always knows what to
say. It's very heartfelt, and it feels connected. Whereas, I don't know, I got to be built into it a little bit more, or just feel the push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, feels like you're just on the spot, and I don't know. That's my introvert coming out. Kelly's not introverted at all.
No.
We're actually going to have a podcast with her on it soon. I'm gonna make her. I told her that the other day. I was like,
it's gonna be the world's longest and loudest podcast.
It'll be fun.
I'm just teasing. Got to give her.
Did you break the chair that I paid $5 at a yard sale for?
Hopefully, I didn't unplug anything.
Oh.
I think we're all.
No, we're good. We're good.
Flashing lights.
Yeah. Okay. We're good.
Are we still on? We're good.
Yeah.
Take 2?
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Bring me some meatloaf.
Meatloaf, Mom! For all the heathens out there.
You almost made it.
I don't even know.
For all the heathens out there. It's,
what's she doing back there?
Let's see, whose movie is that?
It's Will Ferrell.
Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we are
we
a movie
started
podcast.
This by saying we went from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
Which is not appropriate for children. 10 out of 10 would
or
not
church
recommend.
Podcasts. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Religious podcasts.
Right.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, I did watch it when I was in the UPSI.
Well, that's also true, but we were
UPC.
heathens.
Oh,
we were
that's
heathens.
right. Upsy, yeah.
You started that.
I know, I forgot. I thought it was like a knock joke.
But I also didn't hide that I watched movies like that either.
I'm a big movie watcher. I started watching inappropriate movies at a young age because I was not supervised. I had young parents. And I still probably don't watch movies that Christians should watch. You know what I mean? Like, I watch movies that Christians shouldn't watch, I guess.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother me. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I think we may cover stuff like that in an upcoming episode.
Okay.
About legalism?
Because
Legalism, yeah.
I need someone to absolve me. Yeah.
You're forgiven.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you better go to a Catholic church for that.
Totally. I'm going to need a tiny room, a bench, and a priest. All right.
Yeah.
Should we wrap this up?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, I feel like we probably should, because you guys have been like really off rails here. Really off rails.
I don't know whose fault it was.
Jeremy's.
Okay.
Well, yours
Was it?
actually.
Did I start it?
I'll have to go back when I'm
You said
editing and figure it
meatloaf.
out. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why you guys have me come to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
get your tickets now. Early bird is still going on, I think, until what date? Well, actually, I don't know if it's still going on.
Yeah, I actually don't know either. I need to check that. I don't remember what we said it as.
I think it's till the end of February.
Conference organizer.
I think it's till the end of February. So Jennifer's going to put a link down below for tickets.
Yes, I will do that.
Get it while the early bird's going on.
It's July, by the way, in Simpsonville, Kentucky, July 28th and 29th.
Yep.
I did not say the dates earlier.
Berean Holiness. Cultish. Us.
Apparently, you guys are you're gonna propose for real down there or something. Is that what the rumor was? Was that on this episode, or were we talking before?
We were talking before the recording.
We're finally going to make it legal.
Yeah, finally make it legal.
Okay, listen.
I do weddings.
I have like recurring dreams all the time, and I'm sure this probably means something, like in my weird psyche somewhere.
Let's discuss. Let's do it. What do you got? What kind of dream you got?
that we're not actually married, and we've been living in sin this entire time.
But we didn't know it
for the last 22 years. Well, sometimes you know, but you don't tell me. But then, like, I find out, like, we've been either divorced somehow and I didn't know, or, like, somebody filed our marriage certificate wrong and we weren't actually married and we had 2 kids together and we've never actually gotten married legally.
So, have you cut your hair since you guys been married?
I have.
Well, that's it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
I've married my brother. I officiated my brother's.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because you started saying I married my brother and I was going, what?
And then Kelly's sisters. So I did those
you
2
married
weddings.
their sisters? Her sisters?
Yes. It's really weird family.
You're going old school.
And I always tell my brother and my brother-in-law that I gave him an out because I mean, I'm the one that officiated it. How legal is that?
Oh. Well, you have a license.
Yeah,
right.
It was from openministry.com. It was $25. They just said, here, you're...
Did the state recognize it, though?
Supposedly.
Did God, though?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what matters.
Yeah. There was prayer. Heartfelt prayer.
Did Kelly pray? No, she's in. Okay, we will wrap this up. I hope that we got our point across well enough to know, or to say, that this is not done out of hate. It's not done out of, trying to bash the UPC. This is not anything personal, because there's a difference between calling out someone's doctrinal errors and...
There's nothing vindictive about it.
Exactly, because I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of people who are in the UPC feel like their identity is the UPC. So when you're calling out the UPC, they feel like they're being personally attacked. Yep. And it is definitely not anything personal. I don't have any hard feelings with most of the people in the UPC.
We just discussed your heretical views.
Oh my God. Why?
And we've tried
that's what we do.
And we've tried to prove, at least over the last few minutes, that we're not professional in any manner.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, get your tickets to the conference. I hope to meet everybody in July, and thanks for watching.